The one big thing I want to look at, lads, and I've studied this for Sky Sports tomorrow night, and we've got a nice bit of video from behind the goals in it, is what Dublin did late on when they were a man down. So we'll take a Dublin guy out for a minute. As we said, Kev, Kerry went short to the extra defender late on in the game. And what Dublin did was pretty. They've talked about it, I would say. They've studied it. You know, it's a great coaching tool for teams going forward. When we played Donegal in 14, they were losing by 3 points late on. They were playing the same way as they'd played all year. They had everybody back. We were passing the ball around here unmarked, uncontested, and it was never an issue to what we wanted to do. What Dublin did the last day is they pushed up. You know, they made it 14 on 14 out the pitch. So what they did is they got bodies all the way up, but that obviously left a very dangerous man here in Tommy Walsh by himself. But our man again, the leader, Cluxton, he came out and picked him up, which allowed James McCarthy to push on to free Paul Ganey, who was free at that stage of the game. And, you know, that was the kind of setup they had. So we were wondering then, you know, Michael made a great point about the turnovers. They had more turnovers in the last 7 or 8 minutes than they had all game, as in turning Kerry guys over in contact. And they were able to do it by being brave. There's nobody in goal, but the ball's 140 metres from the goal. And what they were able to do is mark up. And the other thing they did is the ball went out that side first, and Dean Rock followed it out. And this is Dean Rock, we'll say, at this top corner here. And when they got the ball to transfer back over, and they passed it out here to Jonathan Lyne, Dean Rock ran and picked up the goalie. So what they had on this side of the pitch, they had a man over here, but you're under the pressure of an All-Ireland final. When you're starting to solo the ball out this way, you can't see this guy. So what they did effectively is they were able to kind of create this extra bodies over here, and eventually Kerry were coming out and running into contact. But I thought it was a fascinating way, Michael, to get yourself back in a game.
It was unbelievable coaching, though, because I've been in that stage of a game. Like, your mind is all over the place. You're scrambled. You don't really know what's going on. And for them to have the wherewithal to go, right, we're going after this ball now. We're pushing Cluxton. And even what I was very impressed with was, even when Jonathan Lyne gets the ball and he goes down this touchline here, they open the space for him. They're saying, go on, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then suddenly, bang, there's 2 of them on him. The ball gets turned over. Connolly, now maybe it was probably a foul, I would say, on Jonathan Lyne. Yeah, maybe. But
who triggered that? Would that be Jason Sherlock coming on, or would that be from Cluxton from deep?
It looks very much like in the video, James McCarthy, who's on Tommy Walsh, he spots that Paul Ganey's free, and he kind of turns around and kind of beckons Cluxton to come out. And what they did in the instance was, this is where Tommy was on Cluxton, and Dave Moran had broken free out of a tackle here, and he was soloing up the wing. Kevin Mack was chasing him hard. And what they did was, James McCarthy realised, okay, we're in a bit of danger here now. They've broken out, and very quickly he left Paul Ganey to allow Cluxton to go back into goals. Yeah. In the heat of the moment, Ganey was wide open, running with his arms open, but you know, Dave Moran's running down this side of the pitch. There's bodies everywhere around him. He's been chased by 2 guys. And I think what Dublin do very well tactically is chase you down from behind. It's kind of something more and more we're seeing come into the game, and it's new. You know, it's an old basketball one of getting them down the sideline, chasing them down, making them uncomfortable, and doing something what you don't want to do. And in that instance, Dave had a split second when this exchange happened between McCarthy and Cluxton. So while it happened, Dave was running full throttle. Tommy broke out and had his hands up. Now it was a 50-yard ball with bodies around you, with 3 or 4 minutes in the game, when Dave Moran's after trucking around for 70-odd minutes. And I think he made the right call. It was a bit of a risky pass. Now, Dave has the pass in the locker, but I felt he just said, I don't want to kick this up on the outside of the boot, skew it out over the line, give Dublin the ball back. And Dave is so good in contact, and he's so good on the ball, that I think he fancied himself to hold on to it. And you got to give Dublin huge credit. Kevin Mack, Connolly was around them, and they just you know, they upset him. They turned it over and they went down and scored.
Just when he looks up, that's when they tackle you as well.
Yeah.
Then when you're making that hair run back, it's very hard to take the ball off someone if they know you're there.
Yeah.
But like, he runs along, and then next minute David Moran just gets his head up, and that's when the hand comes in, because he's taking his eyes off the ball. and the ball comes out. Like he had done brilliantly to go past the tackle.
Unbelievable.
And like this is split second stuff, as you said, in the last minute of an All Ireland final. Like it's so minute that you might even pick up on it. Like, but I thought Dublin for that last 10 minutes were just they got a lot of plaudits for that 10 minutes against Mayo. I thought they were as impressive for that last 10 minutes without getting the scores. Just the way their belief in themselves went down the stretch was incredible.
And down to 14 men, people were like, how were they turning Kerry over?
Exactly, how they engineered
they made it 14 on 14 out the pitch and had the bravery to go for it, which was, I felt, huge. Tiggy talking about the press is another interesting one, boys. I think it's going to be it's going to be the way forward. I think for most teams, we'll throw them out there. I think it's going to be the way forward now. And what we talked about and we touched on early on is that you have these 3 banks of 4, and you have your 2 defenders. And Tig talked about it. They have a defender in Aussie rules, Kev, in this compromise rules. He's the poor old creator. He's in goals, trying to stop Michael Murphy walloping balls and players of very high skill levels. And they're awful in goals. Like it's tough on them. They should be allowed to bring in a soccer goalie or something, I think. But
did Kerry abandon the press in the second half though? They when they got the extra man, I didn't see them. Well, no, I think Dublin changed tactics, and it always happens at half time that, for the first half, Kerry had them under serious pressure with the 3 banks of 4. Yeah. And then the Dublin backline congregated on their own 45 here, and it takes out your 4 inside men.
It does.
And Kerry didn't have, it's very hard for them to readjust.
I think it's on the frees as well. I don't think Kerry got as many frees as they got in the first half, whereas I felt they had a lot of, obviously Coop, they were struggling inside with Clifford and Gainey. They were pulling them down. We were getting these lovely scoreable frees, which now gives you the 30 seconds from when the free is given to goes over the bar to allow you get up in this kind of situational press. And we talked about a guy like Tommy Walsh, and if Kerry were to start him, and Dublin are in the blue, they've this big press on. Tommy Walsh coming out here and creating an extra body with his size, I think would be, because Dublin's press is intimidating, and so is Kerry's when they've it on. It's really fascinating that we have this high fetching game coming back into it, because if someone can catch it like Howard over the press, you're away. So now, and you have the mark thrown in. So before, you were out there, you were catching a ball, Tyrone would leave us catch balls and we'd land, and
they're all over you.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, I'm great catching the ball, land. Next thing, 3 of them, bang, ball is spilt. It was something they did at Darragh O'Shea on in big All Ireland finals. They'd let him catch it and they'd just swarm him when he landed. But a guy like Tommy, who's played the mark for 6 or 7 years down in Australia, I think he'd be huge either if he starts or when he comes on. But I think Kerry should look to get him out there. It also leaves, maybe a Gainey and a Clifford up the pitch for if they do win the ball, that we can get scores.
I think Dublin showed how to beat the Kerry press with the goal though. Yeah. And it's a risk and reward thing. And people might look at it and say, it's a brilliant kick out of Cluxton, unbelievable fetch out of Howard, and 10 seconds later it's in the net.
And you have Jack McCaffrey who runs from here to there in about 7 seconds. I think on we didn't talk about it on that, Mike. On what would you have done maybe on that when Howard catches the ball? We'll say Howard caught it over Gavin White. It was one of the best bits of fielding. We'll see. From there, what do you think Kerry could have done maybe to stop the goal? Is there anything you see that, or watching it back?
Gavin White fouls him. There's not a whole pile. I mean, the pace that they put into that attack was just incredible. They're gone through the middle before you even know it. And even, the thing with the press is if it goes down this side, the other side, tucks in, they couldn't even get back quick enough.
I think one thing that they did was the Kerry lads, so Howard catches this over Gavin White here, and we'll say McCaffrey takes off with Scully through the middle. These 2 guys that did a good job dropping, Paul Murphy was one of them, and Adrian Spillane was the other one. And we'll say Adrian was here as this ball's coming up the pitch. I think he flattened out here to try and stop them, whereas I think what Kerry will be saying the next day is, right lads, if they catch that and they're gone, look, just get to here and give up a point, because I thought the Kerry press was brilliant the last day, and bar the goal, and if they didn't concede the goal, they would have won the All Ireland by 3 points. So bar the goal, I would say it's something that they have to go to hard, and as you said, maybe even look to try and get it on in set play. Or this is another thing maybe you could do when you start losing a game. So when your forwards have the ball down here late on in the game and you're losing, maybe your defenders start going and actually pushing up, so that, look, and if you turn it over here, you're losing the game, you got to go get the ball back. Maybe you stay in a kind of, Ty was saying, if you stay in a press and press them up the pitch and try and turn them over, might be a better way to go than if you turn this ball over and you're set up in your press and everybody starts running back. Why are we running back? We're losing. This game is on the line here. We need to keep up in it.
I think that we talked about the risk and reward thing.
Yeah.
Like, Dublin got the goal off the Kerry press, but Kerry also had 2 goal chances off it also.
Yeah.
And that's the thing you need to realise, is you might give up 1-1.
Yeah.
But you could get 2-4 going the other way if it really works for you. And you've talked about Connolly. I think the only reason that you might see he could start is because if Kerry go into that press, they can hit him with a kick out.
Yeah, he's another option.
Like, you have Howard on this side and Connolly on that side.
Yeah.
It's very, very tough for Kerry to get a match up on either side that's a good point. That can match the 2 of them.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. Thanks for that, Mike. We'll just, any other talking points we'll say, what are the main improvements you guys see in what both teams? We'll say, Mike, you take Kerry, you might take Dublin, Kev.
From a Kerry point of view, I think they'll be extremely happy with Sean O'Shea's frees. There was no easy frees he hit pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, all of them were 45 or slightly inside of it. He was unerring with his accuracy all day, and I think for a man playing his first All Ireland final to do that was brilliant. Like,
it's remarkable. Yeah.
What they will be looking for an improvement on will definitely be their inside forward line score taking. Now, I actually, of all the shots that they took, Clifford, Gainey and Walsh when he came on, none of them were actually from the wrong position, and they're all brilliant scorers. It's something that, you miss a shot.
They weren't shelling.
No, they weren't, and he wasn't kicking one from the sideline, or it wasn't anything like that. It just
Dave might have snatched on one when he came out and he kind of kicked it up into the air.
Yeah.
The only snatch kind of effort out of all them ones.
It. But if they can improve that, you've the 2 goal chances. They left another 3 or 4 points. I think they only had about 3 out of 11 or 4 out of 11 scoring chances for the inside forward line.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the key difference for Kerry is.
They were 7 out of 15 in the first half.
Yeah. And the other thing then you could talk about is, like, the personnel. Like, will Kerry change? I think Tommy gives you one option. Killian Spillane was very good when he came on.
Brilliant.
He asked. No, I think
that's the call, really. If Gavin White doesn't start and they go with somebody else, Stephen O'Brien over and Jack McCaffrey and Adrian
he kept
Spillane.
him quiet. Stephen O'Brien kept Jack McCaffrey quiet for about the last 20 minutes. Now, he'd done a lot of damage.
He'd done a lot of damage at that stage, but I think Stephen putting him backwards is huge, and we saw Paddy Durkin did. It's a big one, and I think, in fairness to the Kerry management, they would have said Gavin White can do that because he can, but I think it's actually a plus, and Gavin won't take me as a captain that I've been a captain that's been dropped before, and it's a tough place to be, but I think Gavin White coming on for Kerry with 10 minutes to go in the half-back line is scary for Dublin. They won't. I see them much firm.
I've played against him. We played Crokes in Clonmel. He is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like, because you turn the ball over in the forward line and
he's gone
2 or 3 seconds later and he's up on the opposition 45. He's lightning quick. Like.
Yeah.
And
when the game is opened up and stretched,
and he can play, like, he can carry. He's very, very good, and I think him coming from the half back line gives them a bigger boost than trying to start him in the half forward line.
Dublin, Kev, what?
Well, you touched on him earlier on. I don't think Brian Howard will have the same game again. I think he will get way better. I think he'll probably maybe analyse it himself. I think he'll be a huge difference. I think. Fenton, bloody, I'm getting
Fenton,
no. I think Fenton will be.
You're mixing up the Raheny boys.
I am, yeah.
It's easy. They're both catching. They're both plucking balls out of the sky.
I just when I've seen him playing and I've seen how good he has been, I think that there must have been something why he didn't have more of an influence on the game himself, and I'd probably look at them maybe say defensive. I think they'll have to do something with Clifford. I know Clifford's scoring wasn't great in the game, but I think there'll have to be something made for him and how he influenced the game and how good he was, and of course getting Johnny Cooper sent off the way that he played. But I think there will be something made for him. There'll have to be.
Yeah,
I actually think Fenton wasn't helped by the way that the kickouts went on both sides.
if he wasn't getting the space to run into.
I don't think that he contested one Kerry kick out. They didn't put a ball down on top of him at all. They went short, and even when they went long, it seemed to be more of a pinged one out to about the 55-yard line with someone running onto it. And on the Dublin side, when Kerry pressed up, they weren't. The only times they kicked it down the middle, Kerry won it, so they stopped after about the first two kickouts.
And it's hard for a midfielder when you're out there and you're not getting ball kicked out. So I always, when I was midfield, the most frustrating thing was the opposition would look at me, the keeper would look at me, and then I'd be trying to cheat across the other side, and you'd never get there, and you were kind of the no man's land.
The ball you always wanted was a ball, an opposition kick out down on top of you with your man in front of you. That was that's a dream for a midfielder, and it's what Mayo did for that last 10 minutes. They kicked 2 or 3 balls down on top of him, and he lorded it, and he was going straight through the middle. Whereas Kerry just took that away, and it's very he's very brilliant on the ground as well. He's a very good runner, brilliant link player, and he can score, but sometimes you just need that to get you into the game, and it was kind of taken away from him by the way the kickouts went on both sides.
Momentum, I heard people saying afterwards, Dublin have all the momentum for the replay, or Kerry have the momentum because they've Morton, they left scores behind them. I don't think there's any such thing as momentum going into a replay. I think it's a brand new game.
You've faced each other up though, haven't you?
You have.
So close to each
other. I think
that
when the ball's thrown in, it's who wants to gather momentum by starting the better. So I think I would say Dublin would be saying all week, or for the last 2 weeks, let's okay, we nearly messed it up. We got away with it. We found ourselves back into a game with 14 men for 40 minutes. Don't let these Kerry fellas hang around. They're too dangerous. They've got too much. Let's put them to bed early.
Do you think that they take what they did in the last 10 minutes and implement it in the first 10 minutes the next day and say, right, it may not work, but it'll put Kerry on the back foot from minute 1? And let's say that Cluxton comes out and he takes up Tommy Walsh and they push an extra man up the field, and they're just like, if it goes wrong and we're a goal behind, we're good enough to go and win it back.
It's a scary thought, Dublin doing that with an extra an extra guy. They're such good tacklers, they're so strong, they're so sure. We talked about it 2 weeks ago, the build up, that sideline press that they're so good at doing, tracking from behind, getting you to run into places where you really don't want to go. That's a scary thought if they go for that.
It's just for the first. You can't do that for 70 minutes.
No,
you can't. It's very taxing.
Yeah. But it sets its own.
But if they'd say, because I thought at the start of the game they actually let Kerry kind of come into it. We talked about the Jack Barry thing. They didn't really press up. They didn't have many, turnovers in the tackle in that first half, and maybe they just go, right, this is the way we're going to put them on the back foot, and then see what they're made of when it does happen.
Kerry, I feel there'll be a lot of talk in Dublin camp. We'll put these fellas to bed early, and I feel that if Kerry can weather that storm early, because I think there's going to be one that just by the law of this, the way this Dublin team has operated over the years, they haven't been great at the start of games this season. I think they'll go for the juggler, but if Kerry can kind of compete and match that and even turn it around and have a good start to the game, it puts a lot of questions in Dublin's players' head, because they're not sitting at home all for the last 2 weeks going, don't worry about the start of the game, but you never know, because sometimes I say this kind of stuff and then I think back, Jim Gavin's probably going, it's all about the process, keep playing, doesn't matter what way we start, we'll keep going. I don't know, is it a focus? It was an old school focus when we were involved in teams, and first 10 minutes go for the juggler, start hard, push up, get turnovers, go for goals. Maybe that's not
they've got a great way of staying in games when they haven't played well. Even you mentioned that they've not necessarily started well in certain games this year. And it's almost been just stay in it. We will eventually turn. We'll eventually get right. And
I think they're so sure of themselves down the stretch, Kev. I think it's a huge thing they've developed, and really probably started against us in 2011. The last 10 minutes that day, I think they got belief that day from, we were 4 points up, cruising a small bit, and next thing. I think from that day, any time they've been involved in a tight game later on, including last week, including all the Mayo games, including our game in 16 that was level with 4 or 5 minutes to go, they've always pulled it out. So I think they've great inner belief, and I think if Kerry are to win this All Ireland, I really do think they need to start like a train, they need to score goals, and they need to have Dublin rattled, and they need to have a good lead. That's my honest belief. They're winning it. I think if it's level later on, it's where Dublin are, and we saw it last week, it's where they're so comfortable, they're so sure of themselves, and that was with a man down. So I think a big thing for Kerry will be I think
you even saw the wherewithal in the last minute, like Paddy Small is a sub, and we talked about the kick, but he's the one who sets up their last attack and holds the hand up. They all know what they all know what they're doing.
I think everybody has a theory on this hand up.
It normally tends to be Kilkenny who does it, but
they're all at it. Johnny Cooper was at it. He got a turnover here against Andy Moran for Mayo, and he looped around Andy Moran and came back out with the hand up. It was more or less to say Dublin. Lee Keegan had just got the goal. Shamey O'Shea had caught a big kick out. The Mayo crowd were saying, okay, there might be life in this. We're 6 points down, but there might be life in this. And it was like Johnny said, relax, lads. There's no life in you. We have this. Because if you intercept this ball, Kev, even in a soccer pitch, if you're left back, left midfield, if you intercept this ball, you're gone. That's your natural instinct, is you're out in front, you're green grass, let's go. To loop around and put your hand up is like a basketball point guard kind of going, okay lads, there's a minute to go in the game, we're winning by 6 points, we relax, we're gonna take this down the court and be slow with it. So I think that's what, when Paddy Small had it out here, and he'd the hand up, and it was 76 minutes, and it's brilliant by them, it's brilliant by him, it's brilliant by the team that they have the wherewithal to say, okay, there's a minute to go, we're going to get the last shot here, lads. I really think that's what it is. It's kind of settle down, let's work something.
It's incredibly impressive that it's not one of their so-called, you're probably saying maybe Paddy Small probably wouldn't make it into their 10 leaders or anything like that, and he still has the wherewithal to go, right lads, relax here.
I think they demand a lot out of themselves on the mental side of it.
I think so,
and I think that's why they'd be disappointed the last day with Paddy Small's shot, 5 minutes before that, and certain shots that they took on, there'll be things that they'll want to correct this year or this week. And I see Dublin obviously turning down a lot of these shots and looking to maybe pop a hand pass to the D or just get it into a more dangerous area and work scores. I think it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be I hope it's as good as a game as we got the last day, because it was brilliant stuff.